You know when news catches us off guard, I don't even have me microphone crane installed. I'm holding it like I am a roving reporter. And for good reason, because CM Punk flavored news hits us. And it's big CM Punk news, isn't it, Adam Pacitti?
It's pretty big. It looks like a return is indeed in the works. This is courtesy of Fightful Select, who, it must be said, they've prefaced the entire report by saying anything could change, anything could go down. So I guess, as with all wrestling news, take it with a pinch of salt and everything. We will see, but it's huge news indeed. Fightful Select writing that they had been getting hints after April 12th report that Punk wanted to come back to AEW, that the wheels were already in motion. They were told shortly before the announcement of Chicago at the Wintrust Arena that the June 21st episode of Dynamite would be interesting and a date to look out for. What they've learned since then is that as of April 13th, which is today, the working plan is for CM Punk to return at that show, or at the very least around it. There were also pictures of announcing it well ahead of time, even around the Warner upfronts.
Woo! Not the first time that CM Punk's name has landed on our lips in the last week. FTR speaker doesn't half taste delicious. FTR speaking about CM Punk earlier in the week pertaining to All In at Wembley, saying that a 6-man tag with FTR and Punk versus the Elite would take the company to the next level. And Dax Harwood constantly in conversation with Punk, who is very keen on making a return. Fightful also reported not long before this report dropped that CM Punk has expressed interest in making a wrestling return, even willing to work more with Kenny Omega and the Bucks, as we've been reporting, a meeting potentially being set up between these two, which we'll dig into in just a second. And from there, this seems like it's going to be a bit of a goer. AEW sources are indicating that Punk has been pushing for a meeting between himself and the Elite for quite some time, as we've talked about this week. But we haven't heard if any progress has truly been made. Young Bucks and Kenny Omega currently are negotiating new contracts anyway. So that's probably why that hasn't happened yet. Another meeting that CM Punk, according to Fightful Select, is keen to have is with Chris Jericho. Now, a lot was said from Jericho about Punk in AEW and vice versa.
Yep.
To say the very, very least.
Certainly, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that one.
Oh, I'd love to be a dog in the corner for that one.
So there's a meeting planned. There's a meeting planned between the two. As far as Fightful knew last time, the Elite weren't especially keen on doing anything. We don't know if that has changed at the moment, do we? And as you say, with contracts expiring soon, time's ticking, right?
But also, here's the interesting thing. CM Punk can come back to AEW and not necessarily have to be in and around the Elites. This was something that was talked about by numerous sources, including Fightful Select, just a few hours ago. With the arrival, potentially, the impending arrival of AEW's new Saturday night show, there is conversations about a soft brand split between AEW's roster, which could potentially see CM Punk on a completely different touring schedule to the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. AEW making full use of Kenny Omega and the Bucks without them having to cross paths with CM Punk, which seems like a bit of a win for all round if we can't find any neutral ground between the parties.
So one locker room is going to have CM Punk, FTR in, and then one locker room is going to have everybody else in the entire company. No, I mean...
It's going to be like that episode of Raw where everybody went on strike. Can I wear your jacket? It's going to be that.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that they would specifically do that for the benefit of CM Punk, but he is so very valuable. You talk about them, maybe they will do something with the Elite, maybe they won't do something with the Elite. The big money is, of course, in a match involving the Elite and CM Punk in some way. FTR will probably also be there. I'm not saying they're looking to sell out Wembley or anything like that, but if they want to do crazy numbers, the biggest match that they could put on is some combination of CM Punk, Elite, probably FTR, and there's huge money to be made. They would be leaving money off the table. I think it's just good for business, isn't it, for them to put these issues behind them, even if it is just temporarily. and just make some cash quick.
I've just been saying all this week, if you want to sell out Wembley, genuinely stick a show on that features Sting, who hasn't been in the UK for a good couple of decades, and CM Punk. You'll sell Wembley. I genuinely believe that. I think with that card, I think at the very least they'll come close to selling out Wembley.
I think they'll do very, very well. It's so huge. And I'm not even sure that's the goal, to be honest. I think they just want a very, very good gate. If they do sell out, fantastic. I'll be buzzing for them.
Well, this is the thing. I think it's weird how there's some people who are already saying, oh, I bet they'll only sell 40,000 seats. That's still amazing.
Only. Yeah. Isn't Money in the Bank in like a 20-odd thousand arena? I know they did Clash and that was way bigger and everything, but it's worth WWE coming over for 20-odd K. And I think AEW will probably eclipse it this time around. I think, you know what, I'm happy to see both companies doing well.
That's, you know what, wrestling wins when everybody does well.
Exactly.
This CM Punk story, no doubt, there are going to be more wrinkles to it over the next 24 hours. We will keep you closely monitored on it at Cultaholic.com as we do. A few other bits and pieces before we let you go. Edge to AEW? Surely not, Adam.
I don't know. There's been speculation surrounding Edge. He's publicly said, obviously, that he plans to retire this summer in Toronto, ending his legendary career for a second time. WrestleVotes giving a bit of an update to Give Me Sport, saying that it would be very surprising if rumors Edge will instead be leaving for AEW are indeed true. They say, if he retires this summer in Toronto, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if he finishes his current deal and then goes to AEW, and WWE would be surprised too. Even though you've got Christian factor, you know, they could team one more time and wrestle each other one more time. I'd be surprised if he wrestles past WWE. WWE, once again, would be very surprised as well. I'm desperate to see it. Genuinely, not so much them wrestling each other, but what I wouldn't give for one more Edge and Christian little tag match. It doesn't have to be bonkers. They don't need to be jumping off of ladders and almost killing themselves. But for one more time, I think it's a beautiful way to end Edge's career.
It is, but I genuinely see it more likely that WWE hand Christian a bag of cash,
Agreed.
rather than Edge. And also it's different with Edge and Christian because Christian has an established career outside of WWE when he realized that he was never going to be sort of the main event caliber talent that Edge was for lack of interest from head office. He went and sought his horizon elsewhere, and we saw him have a fantastic run in TNA. We've seen him make some good progress through AEW. Became an Impact Wrestling champion not that long ago, so his legacy away from WWE is assured. I can't see Edge in the twilight of his career sort of becoming Adam Copeland in another company for the remainder of it. But you know what? The last couple of years have proved anything's possible.
Totally. We say stuff like that all the time. Well, it's a dead cert. Of course this wouldn't happen. And then it goes and happens. So you never know, but I do agree with you totally that I think it's more likely that Christian might do one more little run in WWE. And what a beautiful way to end two careers if that were to be the case. But again, Christian doing great work in AEW, it must be said.
It's more likely to have, say, I don't know, a character from Batman wrestling.
Right, this is your story, Tom. I don't understand this. Right, the title is Classic Batman Character to Make Pro Wrestling Debut. It's apparently done very well on Cultaholic.com. So you can check it out there. But Tom's going to go through this because a classic character, I'm reading this word for word, a classic character from the Batman comic books is set to make his pro wrestling debut later this week. Tom, who is it?
All right, if you're familiar with the lore of Batman, you will know who the mutant leader is. There's been some incredible stories told about the mutant leader, and he will be making a wrestling debut very, very soon for independent superstars of professional wrestling. It's going to be Friday, April 14th. The mutant leader, who you may have seen from The Dark Knight Returns, he's a big part of Batman comic lore as well. Sid O'Connell is the guy behind him. He plays the character during the season of Gotham in which he makes most of his pivotal character twists and turns in. And we're going to see him in action. I'm all for it. I'm all for any sort of comic-themed characters making a return in wrestling. I love this because it wasn't that long ago that I had a lovely chat with Lady Frost from Impact Wrestling, who revealed to me that her granddad used to compete not just you're welcome back. He used to compete not just on the indie circuit, but in the WWF as Batman. That's a legitimate thing. Tony Marino, look him up. He wrestles as Batman back in the day.
Tony. I'm joking about, by the way. If this makes people happy, then I'm happy. I think it's wonderful, and a lot of people will be really, really excited about this. So it's lovely.
Wrestling is silly, and I think we embrace the silly of wrestling. You know what? We live in a wild timeline where not only the mutant leader from Gotham and Batman can make an appearance in wrestling, but CM Punk can make a return as well, which we will keep you up to speed on at cultaholic.com as we get news. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.
Nerds.